Glad to be joined today by Ann Pendleton, who is the Senior Vice President of Compass USA. Ann, glad to see you again. I'm glad you are here. We made it through another great week here in this wonderful world of retail and food service and CPG. Glad to have you on the program.
Fantastic to see you and glad to close out a busy week with seeing
Absolutely.
you and having a conversation.
So, Ann, let's get going. Let's tell me a little bit about your role, and also, too, maybe even start with what is Compass USA, and
Sure.
in that ecosystem, tell us what you do.
Okay, we'll do. And I think you're right. Probably helpful to start with a bit of an overview about Compass Group and fairly large organization, but not everybody's familiar with the name because we aren't a consumer facing brand. So Compass Group is one of the world's largest food service companies. Essentially, we provide food to a wide variety of places and audiences, including schools, hospitals, corporate offices, sporting venues, events. So kind of think of us the company behind the scenes, making sure people are having great food and beverage where they work, play, study, and even get care. And so
That's
that's
awesome.
Compass. My role is with the Envision group, which is essentially a central team that works to support all those lines of business. And retail in our world, in my world, is we're laser focused on products. So think convenience items, beverage, snack, coffee, grab and go, and the programming, promotions, experience, training that goes along with that. So, trying to make end-to-end solutions to drive measurable results for our business and engage consumers and partners along the way.
I love it. Behind the scenes, but so mission critical for a lot of brands that want to reach you in really important moments of truth.
Yep, exactly. Well said.
That's fantastic. So, Anne, tell me, how can a brand that doesn't know about Compass or Envision and wants to get their product into this really cool channel of distribution where I'm watching my favorite sporting team or I'm playing at some venue, and like, how can I go about bringing my brand to you to get into that channel? Can you tell me a little bit about that process and the requirements?
Sure. And great question, right? It can certainly seem a little bit overwhelming slash complex to work across all those lines of business. We do have a fantastic procurement team, Food Buy, who manages a lot of the relationships, contracts, distribution, etc. And that's really kind of the one-stop shop. That said, in how we work with your group so much is there are other programs that we've created in partnership with procurement team, et cetera, to help smaller brands, emerging products navigate this complex world and do it in a fairly seamless manner. So one of those programs, as an example, is the Retail Incubator, and it is 100% designed to make it easy for smaller organizations to navigate our business and one-stop shop for our operators team. So that's one example of a program and one that's been successful at our business, kind of bringing an end-to-end solution for small businesses, emerging brands to get into all of these different types of locations.
That's great. And I know on the show notes, we will put a link to the Retail Incubator site where brands can learn more and even apply to be considered for that opportunity. So, Anne, thank you for sharing that. So I'm curious to also know, like, the types of brands or food service opportunities that are best positioned to play within the Envision group and your area of responsibility.
Sure. I mean, we do work with the major players, as you can imagine, but the retail incubator and where your partnership has been fantastic is for this retail incubator focused on diverse, local, and responsible brands. And
Okay.
responsible meaning better for people, better for planet. So what we're doing is kind of centralizing the vetting, planning, ordering, marketing, and storytelling um, to bring great products in a monthly rotation into our venues. So thrilled that you'll share the website, retailincubator.com. Couldn't be any easier. But really, we're looking for brands that fit that criteria, have the certification, and are interested in exploring kind of what might be considered non-traditional retail venues that Compass operates.
That's great. And these brands that you would consider, and you mentioned diverse, sustainable, um, purpose driven. What are some of the other factors that go into the evaluation, into the incubator, in the consideration of getting pipelined into these channels of distribution? These very interesting, unique moment of truth channels of distribution.
Sure. So kind of we're focused on again the what would be kind of CPG type products, but specifically around snacks, sweets, things that are packaged. We're not yet moving into the beverage category for this program, maybe into the future. But think of what you might see in a market or a coffee shop or on a rack in a cafe. So again, single serve, your packaging, not refrigerated or frozen. Again, not yet at least. We're looking for a price point around $1 to $2.
Hmm.
So those are a couple of the criteria. The certifications are also key for us around diverse as well as responsible, and just trying to clarify and make that easy. We do also have this local category, and we're in about 9 major markets across the US. So think the big cities of New York, Chicago, Charlotte, the Bay Area, to name a few. And we're looking for great products that represent that local market as well. And those don't need to have a certification, but that's some of the kind of nuts and bolts of the program criteria and specs.
That's awesome. And when you think about many people are now continuing to go back to a in-person work environment. I know more and more people are going to concert venues. You just have to look at the ticket prices of that, and it seems like a
We
lot
don't
of
have
the
anything to do with that.
you don't get anything to do that. Okay, that's good. But in terms of, let's say, just going back to work,
Mhm.
in terms of emerging trends that you're seeing in terms of the types of products that consumers are looking for in these types of environments, and of course, don't control the ticket prices, but you do serve the arenas, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Yep, we
So
do.
in terms of that, like the types of products or the trends you're seeing based on these people showing now back up in person to these venues more often now than they had been in the recent past.
Sure. I mean, there's certainly a lot of room and interest in some of the perennial favorites and the bigger brands that you see around. But people are also looking for something interesting, innovation, whether it's new flavors, collaborations across brands and flavors, especially when you're going someplace 5 days a week.
Mm.
What's new, what's interesting, what's exciting, and a place to kind of bring those to life. And we're seeing that just right. Food brings people together. I think people in the food business believe that to the core. We certainly do. And making it tasty is our number one criteria. Making
Mm.
it
Yep.
interesting. Of course, you have some of the products and brands that people know and love and have for many years, but then what's new, what's innovative, and what's the story behind it. That's one of the things that is the hallmark of the Retail Incubator Program, is not just putting some new items on the shelf, but also telling the story behind it. People want to know the person who created it, the mission they might be on, or what's interesting about this, the give back programs, or compostable packaging, to name a few. So that's
Hmm.
making sure that we are telling the story, celebrating those brands is also a key piece, and something people want to try and check out.
Yep. So, and then I'm curious to know. So it's the end of December. The holidays are just in front of us. 2025 is coming fast and furious. There there are probably many strategies and initiatives that you have that will continue to add value to brands, but also to your partners that you serve. Is there something you're excited about or something you could share to help maybe prepare for next year in terms of how you're positioning yourself to continue to support growth and opportunity?
Yeah, big question, great question. We're excited about the new year. I think see a few trends that are probably going to be persistent, right? Snacking being one of them. Big trend with most of the generations out there. So, I think well positioned. This program is well positioned. Certainly, just and with that, I think more convenience, making it easier for people to grab things on the go that are
Mm-hmm.
better for them. Wellness
Mm-hmm.
balanced, I think is a big piece. We're seeing a bit of, sugar reduction, also
Yeah.
that better for the planet, but make it easy for me to do something better for the planet. And then functional, again, taste is at the top of the list for us. But going beyond taste and, protein, stress and sleep management, even
Mm-hmm.
digestion and gut health, from a functional perspective. So,
Mm-hmm.
expecting some of those, especially, people come in the new year, want to do a reset, be healthy, think about
Yeah.
what's right for them for the year ahead. And I think
Yeah.
a couple of those pieces will continue.
Yeah. And I know we didn't talk about this in the past, but with the ongoing usage of the diet weight loss GLP-1 and the regiments around that and the time of which patients stay on those products, and then when they come off, there'll be a continued resurgence of weight management products in the marketplace, and I'm sure you guys will be looking at those opportunities as well.
That's a big one. Yeah, had a couple conversations about it today. So you are right on trend, and definitely something we're paying close attention to because
Right.
it's a larger and larger percentage of the population has
Right.
potential to, continue rapid growth, and we want to respond to that with what
Right.
customers need, and whether that's
Right.
protein, the nutrient dense items,
Right.
and so we're definitely looking at that, and putting some thought as well as action into place around that to make sure we can respond to those trends as well.
Yeah, and I bring it up because of the retail incubator, right? And the opportunities and the innovations we see coming out of that. And just to make it mention so that brands that may be viewing this, think about that again as you serve these very important alternative channels to get product
Mhm.
into distribution of consumers who are using these products. So and I've got one last question for you, but I know you deal with a lot of emerging brands and opportunities in kind. But if there were one, two, three examples or call outs or suggestions that you would make in your opinion as a leader in this space, what would you offer up?
Ooh, great one. Well, again, if for this program in particular, and speaking out, this in singular focus, great taste, right? Great packaging matters. Being able to tell the story matters. Certainly coming in at a reasonable price point. But we've seen so many awesome and amazing products recently. It's exciting to see the innovation, whether it's, Renewal Mill and Upcycle Cookie, Lilies of Charleston, popcorn flavoring, the snoods, dried pasta. We've seen a ton of innovation in the marketplace, and bringing a lot of those into our program, make it interesting and exciting for customers, partners. Um, so those are just a few.
Well, I think that's wonderful, and I appreciate the time today to uh, get to spend a little more time on understanding about your ecosystem and what you do, and obviously give you that platform and also give brands out there, the opportunity and the awareness to understand a little bit more about Compass USA and the Envision Group, and what those massive opportunities are to serve a lot of these, points of distribution where consumers, for the most part, are highly engaged, right? Work, play, as examples of that. And it's always a pleasure. I appreciate your time on this fine Friday in December, making it available with me. But always great. Thank you for the opportunity, and nice seeing you again.
Great seeing you, Wayne. We appreciate the partnership, and thanks for giving me some time to chat about Compass and the Retail Incubator. And happy holidays.